It's a special time right now. Yes, we are struggling as creators because things haven't quite gotten figured out in our favor yet. But I think that tends to lead the climate of the industry to really people being a part of it because they love it. Like nobody else would be here if they didn't love it. Why else would you be
That's
here?
It.
That's
it.
And that's
too
kind
tough.
of a cool thing. Yeah,
well,
it's too tough.
It's like that joke of like only a drummer will pay $5,000 for a kit to put it in $100 car to play a $25 gig.
Exactly right.
That's amazing.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of Innersleeve, the podcast taking a behind-the-scenes look at all things music. I'm Cassius Morris. Joe Pacheco joining me on the line as always. What's happening, Joe?
Everything at once, my friend. How are you?
What isn't happening is the better
Exactly.
question.
That's the thing. Everything is just always happening, man.
That's a fact. There's never a dull moment in the world of music. Today, we're thrilled to be joined by an awesome guest. We have Brandon Yeagley of Crobot. And if you guys are not familiar with Crobot, man, you guys better get familiar. They have tons and tons of streams, over 30 million digital streams, Joe, across their platforms, which is huge.
I have to admit, I wasn't familiar with Crobot, And as soon as I heard it, I was like, wow, this guy, man, this vocalist just like blew me away, right? And the band too, like the songs are great, but it's just like I hadn't heard of them either. It just goes to show us the vastness of what it is, right? Where you can have 30 million streams and I haven't heard of you. Or I haven't, it hasn't crossed my feed. That's what I always find interesting.
You can't keep up with everything, man. As bad as we want to,
I try.
We can't keep up with everything, right?
I try, but it's like, I always say there's only so many hours in a day, if ever, when you make a wish for your birthday, whatever, sometimes I'm like, please, an 8th day in the week, I would probably fill it up with other stuff to do and not really take a break, but you know what I mean? It's like, give me an 8th day.
And then we'll need a 9th after that. Hopping into the world of news, we have a big report that's come out of the world of metal that has just been legitimized and confirmed. Now, for anybody who's been following social media the past little while, chances are you've seen that Pantera are going to be coming back. 2 members, Rex Brown and Phil Anselmo. But the question being, who was going to be the other 2 members in the group? Of course, since Vinny and Dimebag have passed away. And Joe, it looks like we've just got our official answer.
Yeah, Zakk Wylde and Anthrax's Charlie Benante round out the Pantera lineup for 2023 tour. What was your, I'm curious to know what your initial reaction was when you saw the news.
Hey, I wasn't sure if it was real. That was my first thing. I figured this probably wasn't true. We've heard so many different back and forths about this, about is it going to happen? Would it ever happen? Who would be in it? To the point where I just figured it would never happen, Joe. I just figured that this was more of that sort of hearsay that you hear in the rock world, but it looks like this is actually a real thing, and I don't know. I'm not sure how to feel about it yet until I see it. I think that's my reaction. How about you?
My initial reaction, it was a pure snobbery. It was like, what? How could you have a Pantera without the 2 key guys? I get it, Phil Anselmo, and not to... I know bass players take a lot of hits there and stuff, but not to minimize the actual impact of all 4 that made that band a super group. But it's more like, without Dime, I don't know. It just can't be, But then when I heard right away rumors, Zakk Wylde, I was like, oh, okay. It made me feel a little bit better that Zakk was going to take, because Zakk has that fire behind his playing, that just crazy energy, and that's what you need, man. I doubt you had a chance to catch them live, Pantera, right?
No, definitely. Did you ever get to see them?
Once, no, twice. Funny stories, man. This band, imagine Skid Row was opening up for these guys, and here in Montreal, and I'm not kidding you, it was the first show that I saw within the first, song or 2. I saw 6 stretchers leave the arena, and
just the raw energy.
Oh man, dude. And it's and when you saw and it wasn't a super big place like here, 20,000, it was more like a 7,000 seater. But it was the first time I saw the wave of people bouncing to the mosh, the heaviness of it, besides a Metallica concert, maybe Pantera was the first time I swear I saw stretcher after stretcher after stretcher of just people got hurt, leave, But anyway, all that to say, the show was so memorable. I actually have a pick and drumsticks from the show. And it was the first time I remember, I got a guitar pick from Dime, and what was so cool about it is that he scrapes with a knife, they cuts like an X so that it gives you extra grip into it. Because like I mean, these guys play like crazy, right? And they're always sweating, so you need that extra grip, But man, I still haven't forgotten that guitar performance from Dimebag. It was just
insane
on another level. It's like watching. It literally was watching a legend. I didn't know it at the time, but I mean, it was just like the control he had over the guitar, and just the power that this band had live. Just like Rage Against the Machine just played not too far from here, Quebec City, and I missed it, of course. But just that energy behind that band, the power. Those are like, and I've always said for me, Pantera was. When everybody was, I went from the hair metal days to Metallica, and then like everything shifted to Nirvana and like Alice in Chains and stuff. And I always said, I think personally, it's probably not true, but like Pantera single-handedly saved metal, I think, from throughout the early 90s.
Hard to debate that, man.
And then for me, like I went into the prog thing with Dream Theater. That's what I discovered Dream Theater as well. But anyway, all this to say that I'm now that they mentioned who it is, like Charlie Benante. I mean, I've listened to Anthrax for a long time, but from what I saw from the interview with Zakk, that will show some clips here and there, but like that is part of the family.
Like that's family. So when people are looking at, well, who's going to do this tribute to them? It's like. The dude, like the family, the closest. Dime played 5 guitar solos on 5 Anthrax songs, different ones. And the fact that Charlie Dime was the 6th member of Anthrax.
When Vinny was still alive, it was just when the fellas were all talking about doing it.
Yeah.
I just always told them, I said, guys, of course I would. If you ask me, why would I not do it? It's just like I'm going to honor Dime. It's a beautiful thing. You're celebrating Vinny and Dime's greatness, and you're celebrating all the mountains that Pantera conquered and crushed. Pantera is those 4 guys. It's Phil, Rex, Dime, and Vinny.
The fact that Zakk, stipulated that it's like it says it over here, where it's like obviously it's not Pantera. It's just Pantera is those 4 guys,
right?
And knowing that it's Zakk and he's honored to be a part of it, and to him it's a tribute to the brothers, right, and to this band. So for me, that set me at ease, and I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll pick up some tickets to go watch it because I'll get to see Zakk again, and why not,
100%. I mean, if they do come, I was just thinking that would I want to go? I mean, probably yeah, because I mean, look, it's a celebration, and at the end of the day. Is it better for Rex Brown to sit at home and do nothing? I mean, look, the guy can play his ass off. Phil Anselmo still has plenty of energy. I know he's had his own group with the Illegals, but I think, let's give it a shot. And, looking at the quotes from Zakk, he has the utmost respect. He's been showing that for years and years now. I think he's definitely the best choice.
It's funny because like I said, like I didn't even get to that point. I just said, what is this, a cash grab? Like, why would you do Pantera without the 2 guys, And then I'm like, I couldn't even think. And then I heard rumors of Zakk, and right away I said, oh yeah, that does make sense. But I couldn't picture like a Steve Vai wouldn't just fit in it. You know what I mean? Like Satriani did the Deep Purple thing. It fits, But like, I don't know who else. Like nothing springs to mind of like a young gun today that like would be good for this.
Maybe the other guy from Black Label, I don't even know his name, but the rhythm guitarist with Zakk, he would have been maybe the only other option because, I mean, he can, do a dual solo with Zakk for 20 minutes and hold his own. So, I mean, but yeah, you're right. It's hard to think of some of the young guys who could actually step up into this. And if you're going to pick someone, why not pick the closest twin sort of to Pantera in the 90s, which has to be Black Label.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, I mean, like, and Anselmo and Rex, they've continued. They've done Down, right? They've done a lot of bands and stuff. So, but I mean, they've always continued. But I mean, it's Pantera, man. It's like, I'm kind of like on the fence, like I'm pissed off, but not pissed off, but like,
skeptical, pissed.
At first I was like, oh, what the hell, whatever. And then it's like, and now it's like, maybe. We'll see. As time gets closer, depending if tickets are rare or if it's in a big venue around here. I think I would go.
Hopping over to the SoundMojo Comms tab, which of course you'll have checked out if you subscribe to the SoundMojo YouTube page. If you haven't yet, of course, we highly recommend it. Hit us up on YouTube, whether you're an audio listener or a video listener, and hit that subscribe button. This week we asked, if you had intro music, what song would it be and why? And we got some interesting creative responses to this.
Yeah. So we have, again, Nameless Gula, which thank you again for being so proactive in this. And of course, I was expecting a Ghost song, so either See the Light or actually wait, this is some Japanese stuff here, so I have to
translate
and do the translate in real time. Actually, yeah, Google. Let's do basic Google Translate and boom. Become the Wind by Ayumi Nakamura. Not familiar with that. I gotta check that out.
I've heard of this artist's name too, so maybe through Marty Free or somebody. Somebody was telling me about this artist.
Good point. Yeah. Okay, so we have Game X Simmons, Superfly by Curtis Mayfield, because that shiz is lit. It could honestly be any song from Superfly soundtrack. Or it would be Axel F by Harold Faltermeyer, which basically
what song is that again?
Beverly Hills, the most famous one, the 80s.
Okay, yeah. The classic, of course.
Axel
Crazy
F,
Frog.
Yeah, exactly. That song, That's cool. We have Lorenzo Pignanoli, Fix You by Coldplay. That song.
If you want to cry when you walk in the room.
Dude, but that song is enlightening, uplifting, powerful. Yeah. I honestly, it's like on one of my, I don't know, like my top 10s or whatever, top 20 songs of best ever songs of all time ever written. That's definitely up there, one of those for me.
I give them a lot of credit too for writing their own music. That's one of the things I like about Coldplay.
Well, people love to hate Coldplay, but I've just always liked them. I haven't followed them the last maybe since 2016 and on, but I mean, I don't know. I just find I just love their stuff. I love their shows. It's okay.
Yeah, completely agree.
Scotty P, Bada Boom, Here We Come, Walking Down the Street. Cool.
Okay, I don't know that one.
Cody Tapia, Everything Counts by Depeche Mode. Almost anything from Depeche Mode I'd want to. And I think this one takes the cake, right? Eye of the Tiger, Survivor by Mike Lee.
Yes.
Mark
That's a good
Lee
one.
Filion. Yeah, that's a power song,
I'd like another one, Bites the Dust, for me, if I'm going to be in a competitive spirit.
It's a good one. It's funny because I asked the question, but I don't have an answer as well. So, and I had there's so many songs, right? But I can't think of one. But as of late, because my 10-year-old, and thank you to Stranger Things for a new generation Master of Puppets, introducing Master of Puppets, Metallica, because we were driving the other day in the city, and he's like, hey, Daddy, you want to put the Master of Puppets on? I'm like, wow, dude. Wow. This song changed my life when I was 13. Like, I went from listening to whatever I was listening to when I heard this saying, I've never heard anything like this, and it just changed. Yeah. And I went on to thrash metal, prog metal, and all that stuff. So it would be that, or, I would say maybe Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden, it has that cool intro, right? With the introduction.
To you.
Yeah. Woe to you, Joe Pacheco is coming in the room, like whatever, as cheesy as that may be. All right, cool.
Sends the wrath. What's one piece of music gear you regret selling and why? Ooh, that's I feel like this is a common situation for music people too.
Yeah, I don't know, because you never know, right? So we got Lorenzo Pignanoli, who wrote OK Computer CD by Radiohead. I gave as a present to my ex-girlfriend.
There you go.
So I responded well, it's not too bad. It's better than having given her a guitar and then you're out of a guitar, right?
That's a fact. I think for me, it would have to be some autographs that I maybe sold in a pinch, that I look back and I say, I wish I could still have that, but it's like, if you have an autograph that's just sitting in your closet, how much good is it doing you? So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've ever had this situation.
I've never, it's never crossed my mind to sell an autograph. Like, I've gotten a few and then I even stopped asking, but I never would have thought of that. That's how I am when it comes to, making money on stuff. But honestly, for me, I hang on to my stuff way too long. I have stuff here from when I was a kid. It's not like I was saying my old Motley Crue shirts or some old rock shirts and stuff. I've sold stuff. I've bought a lot of stuff that I've regretted buying that I ended up selling again.
Right.
But I don't really have much, maybe a few guitars back in the day, but I mean, I have enough guitars. It's like you said, I have 5-6 guitars. That's enough, so I don't need, I'd love 20, but I don't need them.
It's hard to keep a cap on it though. When you have that passion, I mean, you could collect forever.
Yeah, totally. It's like, if I had the money, it would be guitars and let's say cars. I would definitely love to collect cars.
Count me in. Here we asked your favorite song over 10 minutes long. We wanted some names, and I actually haven't seen these answers yet, so let's see what they have.
Yeah, so we have Tarabara, Ghost Love Score by Nightwish.
Okay, cool just stuff. Over 10 minutes, they say.
Yeah, like I just said, I just saw them and they were incredible. Like just a few, maybe a month or so ago.
yeah,
I saw them.
Nightwish.
Yeah, that's it. It was a great band, man. Great performance. Lorenzo Pignanoli, Stairway to Heaven, Led Zeppelin, or Shine on You Crazy Diamond by Pink Floyd.
Ah, yeah, man. That first 10 minutes feels like 2 minutes for me with the saxophone solo and the whole thing and the keys.
Dude.
I love it.
Yeah. Shine
Priceless.
on You is like amazing. Art
Timeless
of Noise,
stuff.
Moments in Love. This one is probably less popular, but it's a classic, man. This is like, it's interesting because it was a lot of, I believe this was the, Trevor Horn was the producer of this. Trevor Horn was part of the Buggles, which with Hans Zimmer, that made that song Video Killed the Radio Star.
Right.
And then he went on to sing and produce Yes, which everybody knows, Owner of a Lonely Heart, that kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
So he was part of Art of Noise as well. And even Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Like, I mean, this guy was...
Okay. All types of different stuff.
Yeah. A Nightmare to Remember by Dream Theater. It's harder to find songs under 10 minutes from Dream Theater than it is to find songs longer than 10 minutes.
Tool as well.
Yeah, exactly. But Tool it's interesting because like for me, it's almost like I almost forget the song titles because it just sounds like one massive album, right? One piece.
Exactly.
But it's
an
true,
experience.
yeah,
It's a collective experience. It's not really about like the individual track.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it's just like, because I listen to the album and, eventually I'll go see what the name of the song is, but like, I just listen to it as a collective, like you said. For mine would probably be another Pink Floyd, Echoes, because it goes from super chill to like this middle section of just the grooviest rock funk kind of thing. And then it goes crazy, it blows up, goes crazy, and then like it ends off all nice, So yeah, classic Pink Floyd.
Badass. Now we're going to jump into our exclusive interview with Brandon from Crobot. We really appreciate him for taking the time to stop by the show. And this was a really cool chat. We really think you guys are going to enjoy it, and we will catch you right afterwards. We're back with another awesome guest right here on Innersleeve. It's a pleasure to be joined by the frontman of Crobot, Brandon Yeagley. Brandon, how's it going, man?
I'm doing great. I'm sweating a little bit in central Pennsylvania. The heat is starting to kick up.
Does that make it tough? I mean, I know we're sort of half joking, but I mean, when it comes to getting on stage, rehearsing, is there any element of that makes it tough in the hot summer sun? Because you guys have done so many gigs in so many places too.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, when you roll into Phoenix, Arizona, and it's 100 degrees out of the sun, and then you gotta play an early show at 5:00 in the sun, it makes for an interesting makes We like to sweat a lot on a normal day, but when you when the sun cranks it up to 1,000,000 degrees, it's makes it even more of a, hey, let's try and get out of here alive.
Yeah, no question, right?
Do you prefer those outdoor shows?
I like when the sun's not beating down on me.
Fair enough.
Just because, if you got that little instinctive voice that you try to turn off inside your head that says, slow down, dude, you might die.
Right. Heart's pumping.
I like to not have that little angel on my shoulder, if you will. I like to feed into the devil on my shoulder when we're up there. So I like to throw caution to the wind.
No doubt. I mean, so how would you say, since we're on the topic of touring, how would you say that you typically prepare to go out on tour? And maybe also, like, how long are you guys' tours typically? Do you guys go out for a lot of dates on end, or is it sort of smaller stints? Because I've seen sort of different shows spaced out on your schedule right now.
We like to try to keep it like 4 weeks to 6 weeks. 6 weeks is a really long time to be out there. And we're used to being road dogs. That's what we've done throughout our careers. And, we've also been sitting on our hands for the last 2 years. So I think touring at any capacity right now, we'll take it. But we like to keep it under 6 weeks if we can.
And I mean, was it always like that? Or were there times that you guys, you're saying in the beginning, like it was a little different?
Yeah, we would tour like 2 months at a time. we would go on and be home for a week and then be out for another 2 months. So, it was a lot, more like that in the beginning stages, and that now we've learned our thresholds, if you will, of like, when we're getting too burnt out.
Yeah. No, that completely makes sense. So in terms of, you mentioned the 2 years, the big break. I mean, it's sort of an unavoidable question, I think, at the stage of the world that we're at now. Sort of, how did that affect Crobot, and how did that affect you sort of creatively, and you guys as a unit as well?
Thankfully, we're very used to switching gears. Half of what we do is performing on stage, and the other half of what we do is writing when we have time to, and really when one stops, the other one picks up. So we're used to, when we're off the road, we just come home and we write and we work on things creatively and play catch up that way. So I think, but even still, navigating those years was tough because you didn't know when the end was. So
yeah,
you almost had to work day by day, just to stay productive, and I think, we thought to ourselves, hey, if we can come out of this with a record written and ready to go and hope maybe even recorded, then we've won. We've done exactly what we needed to do. We've done exactly what we would have done had everything continued on as normal. So thankfully, the planets aligned, and we were able to make all of that come to fruition. And I think also in that same breath is that, because of everything, we had more time to work on the songs because we had so much time off. So I think that the songs became better songs because of that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Like, the writing process must have been different. You had more time because we didn't know when things were going to change or move. So yeah, I was going to ask, like, but in terms of that, like, you guys also on this album recorded live off the floor, right?
Yeah. So we worked with Jay Rustin, and Jay Rustin's process is like, let's go in there, set up like a live band, and record a song a day. And when we're done that song, then we move on to the next song. So, and that's not usually how things go. We're used to the world of, let's set everything up. Let's set the drums up and let's not touch them. Don't even breathe on them. We can't move these mics because it's exactly how we want everything to sound for the rest of the record.
And we record one note per day.
Yeah, exactly. And meanwhile, I'm sitting there like both thumbs up my butt being like, guys, come on, I'm ready to sing. I just want to sing.
Yeah, seriously, right? Like, what's with all the complication, And it seems like it was like that. I mean, obviously, back in the original era of rock, right?
Well, the original era of rock, everybody recorded to tape, so you had to be good, and you had to do it until you had to all get in the room together, and you had to do it until you got it right. Which is, long gone are those days, and that's kind of like part of our identity a little bit. I think is that we just like to get in, and when we're all together and we're all turned up to 10, that's when the magic happens. And I think too far gone are the days of letting that happen and letting those happy accidents happen. Think of like Gimme Shelter, the Rolling Stones. Imagine if that was recorded in the box like we do it today. You would never have had that moment where the backup singer's voice cracks, and we all listen to that moment today being like, oh, God, that's it right there. And you can hear them in the studio cheering. It's
the real deal.
And it's the real deal. That really actually happened in the moment, So things like that, I think the way that modern technology has led us to recording, I think it doesn't leave very much room for imperfections like that. And I think that's what we're all about, because that's how we write. That's how the best ideas come out is, sometimes you have to have some terrible ideas to happen for the best ones to show their heads. So that's how we like to work. And just to have Jay accept that process, and for actually that to be his process was just such a cool thing. And I think that really was a conduit to leading to the ease of recording this record.
Yeah. So you guys recorded like 16 songs in 21 days. Like,
yeah. And we were scheduled for 22. So,
So you were really going to do just one per day, and then you guys ended up powering through more.
yeah.
Okay.
When you say recorded, like overdubs, everything, you were done, right?
Oh, we were done in 21 days. Yeah.
And was it mixed?
Nuts.
No, it wasn't mixed.
Okay.
It was loosely mixed. You
Yeah.
know, everything, and that was the cool thing about Jay's process too, is that everything was loosely mixed on the fly.
Exactly.
Like he got the sounds that he wanted to get, and then we hit record, and he would tweak things here and there. But my God, I remember all of us sitting around in the control room when he was getting drum sounds, like, you know, when he was tweaking the drum mics, and we were like, this sounds so good already. It's not even mixed. You know,
that's
just
awesome.
the sounds he was getting out of the microphones. And that's exactly how we wanted to make a record from when we started the band. And that's, you know, we were finally able to do that. And I think we knew that rolling into it. So we made the best out of the experience any way that we could.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Let's say what Van Halen 1 would have sounded like if it was like super processed, you know?
Right. Imagine, and even talking about that stuff, like for instance, "Living on the Streets" for us, that song, like that, the bridge of that song where I'm, you know, hey man, you got a lighter? Like all of that's off the cuff.
Yeah.
Like we just we were all like, they were like, can you like, you know, let me, I said, just throw me on here. Let me see what comes out, and we'll take the best of, right. And
you just wanted to go.
Did it like, yeah, just hit record. Let's see what happens.
That's awesome.
And we did 3 or 4 takes, and what you hear is a compilation of, you know, everything that I spat out of my mouth at that moment in time. So none of it's scripted. It just all happened in the room, and that's what you hear.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
That's fascinating.
I love it. I always equate that to sorry, Cassius, for cutting you.
Okay.
I always equate that to like the old jazz albums where it was like they'd call you into the studio, you'd find out just before you're recording what you're recording. So it's like a photograph, right? It's a moment in time.
Yeah.
That's what I love.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, take the cheat sheets and let's go, right?
So would you say, Brandon, from your experience, that the production and sound that you're looking for comes more so from the mics and the feel in the room, or would you say that is more so from the mixing afterwards? Because it sounds like you're saying it's more so from the feel, but I'd like to hear more about sort of your thoughts.
Yeah, so I think that you know, we are at our core a live band, and we're all about performing live. And if anybody ever asks me, you know, how do we listen to Crobot, I say you listen to us in the live atmosphere, because that's where we really shine. That's our bread and butter. So you know, and we take pride in being able to play our instruments. And you know,
unlike a lot of bands nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a harsh reality, but you know, we take pride in doing it till we get it right. You know, we've always kind of recorded with the tape mentality of like, no, I'm going to sing this 20 times. It doesn't matter. I don't, you know, I don't care. Sometimes it sounds better when my voice is on the fringe of losing control, you know?
That's it.
And that's what rock and roll is all about. If you can't hear danger, then it's not dangerous. You know, and rock and roll is supposed to be dangerous. And we've always wanted to maintain that level of, hey, this could go off the rails at any moment, and you never know when it's going to. But I think we try to blend the two also, you know, because, you know, in the same sense, like I wouldn't consider, you know, oftentimes people say, oh, you know, you guys came out in the wrong era. You know, if you guys would have came out in the 70s or 80s, it'd be a completely different story. And I'd say, yeah, you know what? It would be a completely different story, because Bishop would never have any of these pedals.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
A lot of the whirlies are, you know, that just wasn't out in the 70s and 80s. So Crobot would be a completely different band.
That's a good point.
You know, and that's where having a guitar player like Bishop lends to us in our originality. We're not just a classic rock revival band. You know, we try to blend modern technique into old school sound and an old school approach. And, you know, we also hold on near and dear as much to the Soundgarden and Rage Against the Machine of our sound as we do the Led Zeppelin and the Black Sabbath. So, I mean, I think it's all part of who we are. And I think if we would have happened at any other time, it would have been a completely different band. So we try to take everything and blend it together.
It's funny because just before we got on, I was talking with Cassius and I was saying the same thing. I'm like, you know, you guys are a perfect blend of, like you just mentioned. I even mentioned those bands, you know, Zeppelin, whatever. But like the Rage, Chris Cornell, because your vocals, dude. Like I was just telling him, like when I was in a band back in the day, you were the guy I wanted as a vocalist, man, because you could hit the notes, you know, that was popular in the day, but you also had that Chris Cornell sort of roughness and like feel. So no, that was great. But I wanted to know, like, curious, like, what did you, you know, besides like the staples of Robert Plant and all that stuff, what did you vocally, who influenced you vocally?
Ronnie James Dio.
Nice.
Huge Ronnie James Dio fan. David Coverdale. You know, of course, Ozzy, you know, and new school, you know, Neil Fallon of Clutch. I absolutely love his lyrics. He is just a lyrical genius.
Paints a picture.
Oh yeah, right. And it's crazy. I do some work with the My Good Eye company who does a lot of the Clutch videos, and they say the same thing. They're like, you know, it's hard but easy doing a Clutch video because the story's there. Like everything's there for you. The setting, the story, the characters, everything's laid out for you already. It's just a matter of capturing it. And you're absolutely right. He paints a picture. And Josh Homme, same way. Guy is so clever, just crazy. So clever in the just the normal idioms that you're used to hearing. He'll totally flip it on its head and give it a new meaning. I love that about him. You know, Chris Robinson of the Black Crowes. You know, obviously Chris Cornell. Just,
and they're back now, the Crows.
Yeah, and back on good terms. Thanksgiving is not so awkward anymore, right?
Exactly. The documentary or the behind the music I saw was like one of the craziest ones for sure.
Oh yeah, I've never seen it. So it's
pretty wild. I recommend it for sure. But I mean, that's a lot of solid influences.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean that's the appendages. Definitely. Miles Kennedy, I can't forget about him because hearing that guy sing for the first time totally changed my life.
Yeah.
Another absolute killer. So, you know, I mean, talking about these guys, you mentioned Ozzy, you mentioned David Coverdale. You know, I'm curious how you feel about a lot of the farewell tours that are happening right now. You know, we're seeing Ozzy with his life-altering surgery. We've just seen Paul McCartney turn 80. As a guy who obviously loves this music and looks up to these guys, you know, vocally at least, how do you feel about this?
You know, I think it's, how do you say it? The turning of the guard. Is that how they say it? You know, where think about just the lifespan of modern music and popular music really hasn't been around for, you know, more than 60, 70 years. So
yeah,
it's like turning that era is turning. And I think that an unfortunate side of that and the harsh reality of it all is that these guys and gals aren't getting any younger. We're all getting older day by day, and the more as time passes, the more of these legends that we're going to lose, and the more of these legends that are going to, you know, hang their boots up and call it a day. Because touring doesn't get any easier, you know, and we've just lost how many years. So, and I think, but in the grand scheme of things, you know, music's as we know it is still in its infancy. I mean, and this is just part of the harsh reality of the time right now is that we're going to start losing a lot of these idols that we look up to and cherish in the music community. And, you know, we're here that if anybody wants to pass us any torch of any kind, you know, we will continue. We will just be continuing to try to do our best to make good for rock and roll. But it is a harsh reality, you know, and we did that last Motorhead tour, you know, right before Lemmy passed. And I think that made it hit home, especially for us at that moment of time, because, you know, he had to cancel quite a few dates on that tour because of his health. And, you know, in the moment, you don't you kind of think about it when he's canceling shows, and you see him on a day-to-day basis, and you see, man, this guy doesn't look too well. But then it's like you look back and it's like, wow, that was the last US tour that Motorhead was ever on, and we're glad to be a part of it, in any way, shape, or form. But it doesn't make it any easier to deal with, and it doesn't make it any less sad to go through.
Yeah, I often say, like, now I know how, like, my parents' generation felt when all those guys were going away. For us, it was sad, let's say, like Elvis and all that stuff, but it wasn't that. Now you're feeling like Bowie, Cornell, like all these people are going. We're like, what's going on? Even like someone like Taylor Hawkins, who just happened to be what it was. He's super young, and that's a super shock,
Yeah, it's true.
Somebody should have told maybe Vince Neil that he could
retire.
There's a few out there. There's a few of them out there that, what, everybody asks me, how do you feel about bands playing with tracks? I say some bands should play with tracks.
See, that's a good point.
Should. These people don't care. All they want to do is sing the hits. That's all they're there for. Just put it on tape and just go out there and pretend like you're doing it, man.
I mean, for some of these guys, they have to, that's the weird part about, and I mean, even on Sabbath's last tour, they didn't even hide it. I remember Ozzy announcing the guy under the stage playing keyboards and extra sounds, and he stuck his hand out of the curtain and waved. So I'm like, you know what, man, that's a better approach than hiding it.
That's great. Oh my God.
I wonder if Ozzy could hear him, because he keeps saying, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear you. You're number one. How many cities can be number one, Oz?
I know, I love it.
Oh, all of them are number one.
All of them, man.
Right?
We're all number one. That's why we love the guy, right? So, I mean, how about, how do you feel about the future of rock and roll, man? I mean, because, there's people like yourself carrying the torch. There's people like Ghost. There's a ton of awesome groups who are kicking ass. I mean, are you optimistic? Because, talking about the turning of the guard, that means there's going to be new people taking those legend positions like we were saying.
I think that rock is in a great place right now. I think music in general is in a great place right now. I think that we've all maybe taken, especially like the live aspect of going to see a show for granted, and haven't had it for the last couple of years. So I think there's going to be definitely a new resurgence in people turning up and turning out at shows. And I think that's going to be great for everything. But I think in rock, I just kind of take a step back, and we started this band 11 years ago because we didn't hear on the radio what we wanted to hear on the radio. And now today it's like, it's so all over the place. And to me, it's not necessarily all my cup of tea, I'll be honest, but it's relieving to hear all of these things on rock radio, because 5-6 years ago, it was all the same. It was all the same. And if you didn't sound like that, then you weren't getting played I had a radio DJ explain it to me, and it made sense at that moment in time. And not until that moment in time, he said, well, yeah, listen, I mean, I love Clutch, but how can I play Clutch next to Motionless in White? It just doesn't work. And then how do I go to Shinedown after Clutch? It just doesn't work. So, now everything is like all over the place. You got, and it's like everything's like kind of like cyclical, right? So 7-8 years ago, you had this classic rock revival come up, and all these bands sounding like Led Zeppelin, and we were kind of pushed into that category as well. I'd like to think of us as a little more than that, but and now you got bands that are you got bands that sound like Led Zeppelin. You got bands that are your Shinedowns and your Godsmacks still grandfathered in. And then you got bands like, Grandson and Bad Flower and Pretty Reckless and Hailstorm, and all these bands that are just, they've got this common thread, but at the same time, like, we're all doing different stuff, but it's all acceptable and it's all being played. So it leads me to believe, like, okay, we're coming down this stretch of, like, you don't have to sound the same anymore, and everything's becoming more eclectic, and you're seeing, and sorry to say, but when you got guys like Machine Gun Kelly, and you got a Kardashian that's married to Travis Barker,
right.
rock is becoming cool again. And I don't know
That's a
if
good
that's
point.
good or bad. I don't know if it's good or bad though. Because you might get things sort of oversaturated and flooded with fakeness, maybe. But at the same
there's
time,
a lot of that.
But at the same time, like, if you aren't doing this because you love it, what else are you doing it for? Because we're all out here struggling. So I think that's part of, and that's when I say that again, I don't think we came out in the wrong era. I think we came out in the right era, is because we have all these things at our disposal and things that it's seemingly a turn of the tide. That I think it's a great thing for music in general.
I know that I've been saying that for a long time, because like with all the Spotify, where everybody loves to hate Spotify, and like, the fact that music has been a commodity at this point, but it's also like, I was taken aback just a few months ago. I got invited to go to a show for what's that band called? It was Nightwish, right? Like Finnish. So like, I'm like, wait, Nightwish, I said, this is like when I grew up, this kind of stuff, this Iron Maiden, Halloween, like big, I wasn't as into it, but when I went to the place, dude, it was jammed and everybody knew every song, and they played amazing. Of course, they're an amazing band, but I was like, okay, man, so this proves that you don't just have to be on the radio or in the top 40. You can, the world has opened up. I can listen. It's like I always complain about Montreal radio over here. It's like I can listen to Metallica and listen to Motley Crue and then a Led Zeppelin song right after. It's not gonna shock me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can spread it out a bit more.
Programmers think it will, though. I guess which is interesting.
Yeah. I think it's the new blood, right? Like all these kids now are growing up on YouTube, right? So they're influenced by everybody we were influenced, but they're learning so much faster, and it's so much faster to get your music out there now that like it has no choice but to change. It has no choice but to change, even more cyclical, as you said, even faster.
Yeah, well, you're your own DJ now, right? You don't have to listen to the radio anymore.
Exactly.
Back in the day, bands sounded similar because that's all they had was that to listen to. That's all they had,
That's it.
Unless they were stealing records from their parents' collection or, that's it. That's all they had. Now the world is like everyone's oyster. And, I grew up in the time of like early days of Napster, and had I not, I would not have known half the bands that I know. I would not have been influenced by half the bands that I've listened to, so I kind of keep that in the back of my mind, because that's how I started. That's how I continue to listen to my music that way. Yeah, sure. I have an extensive vinyl collection, and I love the physicality of and the ritual of putting a vinyl on and sitting down and actually turning everything off and listening to a record without any distractions. And I think, long gone are the days of people sitting down to actually, listen to music. It's sort of more background noise than anything, but I think it's a special time. It's a special time right now. Yes, we are struggling as creators because things haven't quite gotten figured out in our favor yet. But I think that tends to lead the climate of the industry to really people being a part of it because they love it. Like nobody else would be here if they didn't love it. Why else would you be
That's
here?
It.
That's
it.
And that's
too tough.
Of the cool thing. Yeah,
well,
it's too tough.
It's like that joke of like only a drummer will pay $5,000 for a kit to put it in $100 car to play a $25 gig.
Exactly right.
That's amazing.
We'll break even in a couple years. Real quick, Brandon, we just wanted to know before we let you go, just about obviously the new record or the latest record, Feel This. Awesome marketing around all of this. The colored vinyl that I'm seeing online is looking really cool. I mean, maybe tell us about sort of the packaging and that kind of concept.
Yeah, so we're used to in the Crobot camp of everything coming out of our guitar player Bishop's hand. He's been the guy who has drawn every album cover. He draws every T-shirt, aside from a few that his wife designed.
Nice.
But mostly it comes from the Bishops. And this record, we wanted to go with something a little different, something that maybe is obviously went with the picture. Which is out of the norm for us. We're used to Bishop drawing the art, and I think that, but it also really encapsulates like what the record is all about. Is it innocent? Is it
Right.
Are we having a good time here? Are we bleeding out a little bit? Are we suffering? Or what's going on here? Is this what is this? And I think that's kind of what we're all about. Is we have a lot of instances where I'm sure people are like, what is this?
Bit of ambiguity there.
Yeah. We like that. We like that mystique. So when we got this picture, it just was, we were so sold on a Sticky Fingers, like Motley Crue-esque close-up crotch shot of me in spandex pants. That was the original cover.
That was the original?
That was the original cover. And of course the label is like, no, we can't do that. So we're like, all right, we gotta find something that's undeniable then, because we're pretty stuck on the gold pants. And
get the ice cream.
Yeah,
call in the ice cream.
We got the ice cream. That's it.
Brass
We got
knuckles.
it.
That's a cool cone, man. That would be a cool design for like a cone, an ice cream place, like a brass knuckles cone.
You're the second person to say that in the last week, so I think we've got to jump on that soon, or somebody's going to take the idea.
That shit.
Yeah, you better take that before somebody else takes it. I love it.
It's just so cool because I picture someone just like, and someone saying something stupid, you're like, paf, right in the face.
An extra kick to it.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a classic. Brandon, hey, we really appreciate your time. Crobot has some shows coming up, and is there any socials you want everybody to check out in particular?
Anywhere you're used to finding your bands, you'll find us there.
Perfect. We'll have links in the description.
For sure.
We want to give a huge thank you to Brandon from Crobot for taking the time to stop by episode number 83 of Innersleeve. Awesome conversation, Joe. Definitely a breath of fresh air, it seems like, in a monotonous sort of echo chamber of the same sound, the same ideas. This seems to be something different, which can be hard to find nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, like I said it at the beginning, I say it again, like fantastic singer. I even said it in the interview, like when I was playing in the 90s, that's the singer I wanted. Like that range, the vocals, like the range, I mean, and that like edge of like Chris Cornell kind of like power. Oh, what a fantastic singer. And those songs are awesome. Like as soon as you hear it, Set Me Free, boom, that's it. I'm singing it all day.
It's awesome. It's definitely infectious. And, we know Crobot has a ton of awesome stuff coming out. Make sure to go check out their latest record. Of course, we have a link in the description below for Feel This on Mascot Records, and all of the different links where you can find Crobot. That's also down in the description as well. Also, make sure to go to check out SoundMojo on all of our different channels and platforms. We're on all social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube Shorts, you name it, we're there. And we want to see you guys there as well. So hit us with a follow, hit us with a comment, and even on the community tab, as you guys can see, we will give you a shout out on the show and read your comments. And we have a bunch of stuff coming on the comms tab, right, Joe?
Yep, there's always stuff. Right now, I'm actually kind of sort of building it, so I don't know exactly what's coming up, but definitely, man, always keep a lookout. Please engage and, let us know what you think, what, like Cassius was saying, or new discoveries this week. Like, tell us who, and we'll talk about it. We'll check it out, and we'll pick our faves.
We also want you guys to go ahead and check us out on our audio platforms. If you're a loyal YouTube viewer, we appreciate you very much. We're on the road to 30,000 subscribers. That being said, you can take in the show on the go when you're working out, when you're at school, on our audio platforms. We're on Stitcher Radio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Anywhere you can get an RSS feed, you can find the Innersleeve audio show. And hit that subscribe button as well on your favorite audio platform to show some love for the program. We definitely appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for checking in with Innersleeve episode number 83. We'll catch you guys next week.